Across the world, cities are preparing for millions more cyclists, joggers, and walkers. With fewer cars on the road during lockdowns, leaders have taken the opportunity to increase the space available to pedestrians. But it's not just Europe. It's becoming more popular here in the US as well, and this summer it may be coming to a city near you. Because let's face it, it isn't easy to stay physically distant on most sidewalks. But by limiting where cars can go and how fast they can travel, cities hope to reimagine roads for the present pandemic and beyond. Sidewalks are rarely large enough to support physical distancing. Take New York, for example. An analysis of the city's sidewalks found that 80% were less than 12 feet wide, making it difficult for two people to pass by each other. On sidewalks less than 6 feet, it's impossible to keep a safe distance.
I think many of us would like wider sidewalks.
Nicole Ferrara works for the Department of Transportation in Oakland, California.
To move a sidewalk or to expand a sidewalk can be millions of dollars per block. You'd have to really reconstruct the entire street. So it becomes very complicated.
Without wider sidewalks, pedestrians resort to the less safe option, walking on the road in traffic lanes, bike paths, and parking spaces. Which is why cities are taking cars out of the equation and implementing what are known as slow streets. By using temporary cones, signs, and some paint, cities can quickly prioritize space for those on wheels and on foot and reduce the number of cars that pass through. In the US, dozens of cities have announced some form of street closures. New York City plans to shut down 100 miles this summer, and Oakland will limit traffic on 72 miles, more than 10% of its streets. And so far, it has dramatically changed how people use this public space.
We are seeing right now families that you would never see biking out on the street. Parents letting their kids scoot on the street unsupervised on these slow streets. Kids are playing in the streets in ways that they haven't in decades.
Dissuaded in cities where streets are generally considered unsafe, playing in streets is something usually equated with residential suburbs, a phenomena that greatly contributed to America's love affair with cars. After World War II, the opportunity to buy affordable housing prompted Americans, most of whom were white, to leave cities. Cars gave them the freedom to live where they wanted while still get to work, school, and shops. By 1960, 1/3 of Americans lived in suburbs, and the number of cars in the US more than doubled in a decade. Over subsequent years, the numbers of cars continued to grow, and so did the number of lanes on streets, highways, and the speeds at which cars traveled.
Speeds are exponentially related to pedestrian safety. So at 20 miles an hour, if you're hit by a car, you have a 1 in 10 chance that you will be killed. At 40 miles an hour, that ratio flips, and you have a 1 in 10 chance of survival.
Which is why slowing down traffic is essential to keeping people safe on slow streets. In 2019, 2 cities in Europe eliminated all pedestrian and cyclist deaths after lowering the speed limit to 30 kilometers, or a little bit less than 20 miles per hour. DC and Boulder are following suit and lowering speed limits not just on slow streets, but citywide. While most slow street initiatives are temporary measures to address the new normal of the pandemic, some cities like Seattle have announced streets will stay slow even after the COVID crisis subsides.
We've heard a lot of excitement about slow streets and maintaining slow streets. That's probably the number one write-in response that we've gotten on our survey is make these permanent.
Americans will, of course, keep driving, especially with the potential risks of taking public transit until a vaccine is available. But giving cyclists and pedestrians more space will be important, especially in cities.